Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Derp Your Hooves. Today, I kind of feel like flying the 414 Chancellor from Catalina to the California high desert. And I think it's a great plane. I just went ahead and updated it to the most recent version, which I'm not sure what the updates are. I noticed there's some passengers, but I mean, as you can see, we always have our passengers on board, even if you can only see them in the mirror. They're here. So let's get underway. And let's do our usual one notch of flaps. Make sure our flight plan is in. And make sure all our controls are set to the right settings. Trim is level. Gears are down. Everything looks good. So let's go take this thing for a spin. So, it seems that the engines are still a little loud. And I do kind of feel like I have to shout over them a little bit. And so we're just gonna cruise by the Catalina Bay. And unfortunately, I just did some updates to the sim, so, you know, everything here is totally valid for all the scenery updates, because I just updated all the scenery to be compliant. And it looks like I'm getting some of those spikes, which I haven't seen those in a while, but they shouldn't be there by the bay. And I just set the graphics settings to almost perfect, so see, they disappear when you get closer. So that's a little concerning. It has nothing to do with the airplane. It actually has everything to do with the sim. So I'm getting a little bit of glitches here. And I noticed the boats from before. And I mean, I will say that I also have the add-on Catalina scenery from Orbix. But which actually makes Catalina much more realistic. But I haven't seen those spikes until today. So there's, you know, I'm seeing some scenery issues here, but, you know, not with the plane. The Derp Your Hooves livery is still taking without any noticeable issues. So far I'm pleased with the plane. So let's just kind of turn in and head in towards Los Angeles. And here we are over the beautiful Pacific Ocean, and we got our live weather running. And I mean, right now I'm not even using the autopilot. I'm hand flying it. Let's just take a look at how far we off our path. Well, our path took us straight out from the airport. Simple flight plan. Let's have a little bit of coffee here. It's early in the morning. Out of our Derp Your Hooves mug, which, if anyone's interested in, I have a really nice Derp Your Hooves mug with the Derp Your Hooves logo on it. And if you are interested, just, put something in the comments saying you're interested, and I can definitely hook you up with one. I mean, selling them from our shop. And they're wonderfully nice mugs to drink your coffee in, so you can have a derpy day. But let's see, so this plane, yeah, I mean, it flies beautifully. It's been a while since I've flown it, and I mean, again, I'm going to say that those engines are just, they're overpowering, so I feel like I have to shout to be heard. I guess we'll have to, see how well that works, but it looks like the mic is showing up pretty well. We'll just gently bank into our turn here. This has got to be another one of my favorite GA planes. I mean, I won't steer you wrong. I think the Skymaster is possibly one of my favorites. This is definitely a study level plane. So it is just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful aircraft. Then I forget how much it costs. It's like 30 something, I think. But again, it's a beautiful plane. And I added some anti-glare for the nose, just so that I can fly it without having any kind of shine across it. But I mean, it climbs beautifully. Let's lean out that fuel a little bit. Maybe drop the RPMs on the propeller. We're not really totally paying attention. Oh, and we're getting a little bit of a click. And I got a feeling that it might be time to recalibrate my controls. But we're almost there to our line. And let's go ahead and take a look and see how we have it set up. And again, it's really been a while since okay, we got it on GPS. It has been a while since I've flown this, especially with the autopilot. I've just been taken to the military jets for a while. What's our current altitude? About 5,200. So let's lean it out a little bit. And we're getting closer. We're just going to be flying off to the high desert. So you know what? At this point, we're pretty close. We're almost on that line. So we could just hit autopilot and nav. And the flight director's already on, and the yaw dampener's already on. So, you know, it's just going to turn us into our flight plan, which is really cool. And I know that there's a prop sink. There it is. So we could do that. And now I could cross-feed the engines, but I'm still climbing a little bit, and I really wouldn't want to cross-feed the engines until I get to a level flight. You know, I mean, I've got a really minor climb here, and we've got at least, you know, 2,500 more feet to go, so that we can clear the mountain range over there, the San Gabriel Mountains, I believe they are off in the distance. So I really wouldn't want to cross-feed it until I get there, you know, and at the same time it's really going to be, we could give it maybe some cowl flaps just to, you know, bring some cooling down in the engines over the ocean, which we really shouldn't need. I mean, I see our exhaust gas temperature's looking good, PSI, all our gauges are looking good, fuel quantity's looking good. I mean, I just put it at the 50% mark for this flight. Airspeed's looking pretty good. 128 knots is fine for our climb. I mean, we're not in any big hurry to get there. So, just kind of enjoying our flight. So, definitely. I mean, look at that. Look, it's a beautiful morning out here in lovely California. And you know, scattered clouds. I don't know if you guys know, but we've actually been having some heat warnings out here lately. And I was just out and about, you know, yesterday. And the skies actually look, you know, pretty similar to what I'm looking at. So this live weather it's pretty much what we're seeing out here. And we'll just kind of try and gently pan over Long Beach and get Long Beach Harbor out there in the background. And it looks like we're going to skip Disneyland, which is off there in the background. And I'm still seeing a couple of spikes. I'm seeing what looks like hills off the left wing that aren't there. So, I mean, I won't go through too much of pointing out some of the weird stuff that I'm seeing, but don't think that has anything to do with add-on scenery. I think maybe there should be another scenery update for the United States. This is just, this is beautiful. And if you look down there, over here at Long Beach, they should have, I know it's in the add-on pack, there's the dome, where there's the Spruce Goose used to be, I forget where they put it now. And there's the Queen Mary next to it, and there's a submarine tucked in between the two. And I can see the cruise ship, and I can see the Queen Mary. And I can see all the cranes out there in the background. And down there would also be where you'd take the ferry to Catalina that we just took off from. And there we have Catalina Island in the background. Again, beautiful place to go take a vacation, or if you ever come out here, if you're not a California native, and one day you're just like, I want to go out and I'm going to take a vacation, and there's a lot to do out here, and Catalina Island's actually a little fun getaway, fun getaway from Los Angeles too, so kind of fun if you ever want to come out to LA. But just another sunny California day where the weather's not too hot today, but still nice sunny California weather. Flying a great plane. And I will say this though. If you do come out here, if you do come out here and you say, Derp said, or Pony said, Catalina's really beautiful, and there's an airport there. Well, there is. There's an airport there for small GA planes, and you can book a flight from any of the local airports to Catalina, and I'm pretty sure you can book them even farther out than Los Angeles. But I will say that I highly recommend that you get your sea legs and take the ferry if you're ever going to go there, because the ferry is much, much more reasonably priced than a private plane to Catalina's airport. And they don't offer the seaplanes anymore. They haven't offered those since, I think, the early 80s. Those are gone. And I did that in actually another tutorial where I had the Grumman Goose. Because the Grumman Goose was a plane that they had used just for that purpose. It was used for decades to ferry passengers to Catalina. But, I mean, the boat is... They've got some high-speed ferries that get you there. And the price is like a fraction of what it costs to hop on a plane and get there. So, I mean, unless you're a private pilot, and you're ever... Then I would say, hey, why not? Go nuts and go, land over at Catalina and, book yourself a hotel or a house for a couple of days and go chill. But just know that, well, you won't be doing much driving on that little island. So, and there's transportation provided for you. So, I mean, here we go, and again, we're just kind of flying over LA, and I've got the autopilot on, because why not? You know, I mean, we're going to do some aerobatics or something, and not on the Chancellor. There's no chance in the Chancellor that we're going to be doing aerobatics. Aerobatics. Acrobatics would be if you were, you know, like wearing one of those leotards, jumping through hoops and walking tightropes. I often, you know, get the two. Mixed up. Aerobatics, acrobatics, tomato, potato, whatever. Alrighty. Well, looking here around the cabin, definitely is a cool little cabin. Oh, we're at 12.5. So we're gonna clear those mountains, so why don't we do an altitude hold and we'll pick up some airspeed at 12.7 and maybe trim out our prompt just a little bit and trim out that air to fuel mixture, and we should start picking up some speed. And if you do hear the slurping of the coffee in the background, I'm sorry, but it's nothing quite like a cup of coffee in the morning. Nice, strong cup of coffee in the morning. Jet fuel for the Chancellor to get us to where we need to go. Let's just check all of our gauges here. So, I mean, at this point, since we're actually doing a level flight, this is what I do like about the Chancellor, too. Is that we've definitely gotten to a nice altitude. Nope, not off. Yeah, there we go. And then that way you can just cross-feed your engines, which is fine. And you'd say, at Pony, it doesn't look like we're going to clear those mountains at 12.7. We will. It may look a little close when we get there, but we'll clear them. There, 12.7 gives you more than enough room to get over them. And so you'd say, really? I'll say, yeah, really. So let's see, it says we're going at 172 knots, and that's what I'm telling you. I mean, this plane, so, you know, everybody has their preferences, right? I mean, you know, and I'm turning out, it looks like I'm a Cessna guy. You know, this Chancellor is a great plane. And there's also the, there's a Beechcraft, not the V-tail. I like the V-tail too. But there's a twin-engine Beechcraft that just came out. And I did this flight in that, and, you know, it's a much larger plane. And you can also actually take off from Catalina and land in Catalina in the Beechcraft. It's a little hairy. I mean, the runway's just kind of like, it's almost just long enough for you to take off and land, you know, empty. But, let's move around the cabin a little bit, shall we? You're gonna make me sick with all these different camera angles. So there we got the jump seat, right? Got our little wing view. We got a cabin view now. So you know what it's like to be a passenger sitting back here. We'll just kind of toggle the stick and go out the window and look south down the California coast. South, right? Yeah, because we're headed north. No, so that would be east. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's all confusing because we're on a curve, so... You know, and again, we can just kind of poke our head out and see our ponies in the background. Our pony passengers. And trust me, they're there. They're there. You can't see them, but they're there. I mean, Someone put that giant 1980s, 1970s mirror back there, so what you see in the mirror must be there. Yeah. And the one thing I've noticed about this Chancellor, let's see if it's over here. Oh, they put it over here. That's interesting. So, it's kind of interesting because I was watching another, very famous YouTube streamer who was in, I don't think it was a Chancellor, but it was like the model before, because the Chancellor's actually, there's a couple different versions. It's not the 414, but from my understanding, that the Chancellor actually came with, the poop seat right here. But maybe it's over here in this one. But there was a little poop seat, and a little, yeah, see, it looks like they have the little track, so that you could sit there and, so it actually had a lavatory, or, a head, or, whatever you want to call it. And this one doesn't seem to have it unless, that would be it right there, with the little tray right next to the wet bar, because, you'd want to poop and do all that stuff. You'd want to relieve yourself right next to where you keep your food. But I mean, it is better than the alternatives, because anyone who has flown in GA planes knows that some of them do not have facilities. So, I'm sorry, little Timmy and little Johnny, or little Sally, especially little Sally. I'd feel bad for her. I'd be like, well, I'm sorry, but you should have gone before we left. So, here's the bathroom. Try not to make a mess. But in this plane, it wouldn't be so much that. It would just be like, yeah, pull the curtain around you and, Anyways, really? That's what you want to talk about with the Chancellor? But I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, to be able to not have to hold it because, I don't know. I mean, in flight, you really don't want to be like, oh, really? You got to go right now? Okay, well, I mean, we still got, 2 hours left of the flight, but hey, let me find an airport nearby and we'll just like pull over, and go land, and that'll only take like an hour extra, so that you can go relieve yourself and then we can get back in the air. And, maybe some people have done that too, and it's like, dude. But anyways, the joys of flight, right? So let's kind of get up. And there we go. And if you will notice, look at that, the Derp Your Hooves logo on the right side of the tail is a little distorted. Have to fix that manually. But on the other side, it's just fine. It's all about perspective, right? It's how you look at things. And I did choose a rather plain livery for the plane. I just didn't want the swooshy stripes or anything else. Just kind of something real simple for today. Just a little bit of glare shield there. And at least on this one I didn't have to add the boots. The de-icer boots. This comes with them, which is nice. Kind of important for a plane like this. And oh, how I should take a night flight in this plane, because the engines glow through the cowl vents. And it looks like we're getting close. We're going to cross these mountains here, and then we'll be at Southern California Logistics Airport, which is going to be our destination. And again, for anyone who doesn't know, or if you're new to Derp Your Hooves, watching some of my streams, Southern California Logistics Airport used to be an Air Force base. It used to be an Air Force base called George Air Force Base. And I think they finally closed it in the mid-90s. Mid to late 90s, they decommissioned it. So, but it is actually, and so I'm actually curious to see what the add-on scenery is going to look like for the George Air Force Base, because I did update, again, I mentioned I updated the scenery here to whatever the current version is of the scenery packs. A little bit of turbulence as we fly over the mountains, I can see that. But I did go ahead and update this to the most current version of the scenery, and what right now we're in September of 2022. So I updated the whole globe, every single country, because I've got enough space on this drive to put it in there. And I'm just curious to see what it's going to look like when we land it at I almost called it George Air Force Base, when we land at Southern California Logistics, because I do have a add-on scenery for it, and it's, well, you'll see when we get there. And so will I, seeing as how this is my first time landing there after the scenery update. But again, this is, I'm kind of impressed with just everything. I mean, scenery, the frame rate. And I may or may not be, it all depends, I may or may not put out a tutorial on how to improve your frame rates and stuff for your simming experience. Because, well, I mean, if any of you guys have been simming with this sim since the beginning, you'll know that, definitely fine-tuning your graphics has become a thing for a lot of simmers, where we've gone through a lot of updates and a lot of changes, and, some of it requires some tweaking to get some really good results. And if you like what you're seeing here, then, I mean, I'm happy to share with you what was done. And I will say, and I'm sure that you've noticed, and there is a little bit of trails and a little bit of ghosting. And I've learned to actually live with some of that. And I think I'm using like the Sim Update 10 beta right now, just so I could take advantage of the video card that I have. Like you can see it right there, the ghosting off the nose. You get some trails, it's what it is. And it's not terrible. And I'm hoping that, that we can get rid of that too at some point. But it's definitely, I'm gonna say that it's definitely a trade-off for just having a beautifully scenic sim. And I know that there's other flight sims that you can choose, and again, I'm gonna tell you that, as of currently, until otherwise, nobody is endorsing me or lining my pockets to do any of these flights. So my opinions right now are totally my own, and I'm not afraid of losing a sponsorship because I don't have one. So, just a simmer like most of you guys, and if I'm gonna spend a lot of money on my hobby, so I want to enjoy it. And again, it's just, this is beautiful. And that's what I'm saying. I know there's other sims, and I've been simming for a long while, and I'm sure I say this in every single, flight. But just this scenery, leaps and bounds above anything currently on the market, in my opinion, because I've watched other streams, and, I'm not going to buy, more than one sim. If you want to do that, go ahead. But this is great. Minus a couple small glitches here and there. You know, I mean, we got to get rid of some of those spikes. Other than that, this is, you know, it's just beautiful. It's gorgeous. And this is one of the things that this sim is starting to kind of get recognized for, from the people who like it anyways, is just that looks pretty real to me. I mean, minus, you know, some things that let you know that it's a sim, right? I mean, there's definitely some obvious telltale signs that it's digital and it's clearly not real life, right? But at the same time, I mean, visor tilt, visor twist. See, I mean, look, there you go, and you can tilt it. And I think you can, and the extend knob works. See, that's cool. And I think you can rotate it too. Well, either way. For the artificial sun, right? Which we're not really having in the morning. I'm just playing around with the visor. You can go all the way forward and all the way up. And I do believe that you can rotate it out. Yeah. Right. Alright, so let's see. We're getting close. And we're at 12,000 feet. We're almost at our destination here. That's SoCal Logistics. You know, and I would say that I'm going to call it in, but they're going to give me the wrong runway. They're going to give me the runway that's closed. It always does that. So, you know, forgive me if I just land on another runway. Full stop landing.
Victorville Tower, Derp Y Delta.
See, we're 10 miles.
Papa minus Yankee is 10 miles southwest of 12,700.
Right, and it's gonna say like runway 3. Right. I don't want runway 3, but I'll go with it. You got it. So again, I would say
runway tree, Derp Y Delta Echo Romeo Papa minus Yankee.
okay. So I would say, you know, again, you really can't use my videos to let's give ourselves some landing lights. Which, if I remember correctly, are in here. Cabin fan, avionics, landing light switch, landing. So I'm gonna say you know, I am not a professional pilot. I am just a sim pilot. And even though this is a steadily? Yeah. Even though this is a steady level plane, you know, I just do this for fun, so this is not going to count towards your hours. And I can accept no liability or responsibility for, you know, you crashing into the ground because you decided to do a scary pony landing. And we'll leave the flight director on, and we'll leave the yaw dampener on, but everything else is turned off. So California Logistics, so I was going to say, seeing our landing lights are out, which is important. So they're going to say runway 3. And I'm going to say bah humbug, because runway 3 has got something on it. And in real life, it does as well. And no air traffic controller would... Well, maybe they would. Okay. Have to bring that airspeed down. So it's not going to be runway 3, it's going to be like runway 15, 17. I've been here before, in case you're wondering. Let's give ourselves some flaps. Add some drag. Because, I mean, you know, it's kind of important to slow yourself down as you descend so that you don't overstress the aircraft, because even in the sim, some of these planes they'll max out and you'll overstress the aircraft, and that's a bad thing. And some of them, and I'm not sure if the Chancellor has it, but some of them have that warning beep. Am I really at 190 knots? Yeah, so I kind of want to watch things, maybe. And I've got my cowl flaps out. No, I don't? Yes, I do. So that should add some drag. And California Logistics is right off there in the background. So let's see. It's going to be like runway, 17? Something like that. 177 knots isn't bad. And we're at 5,000, so we could start beginning our turn. And yes, I know, I did the external view, but I was just showing you the plane. So we could do my preferred view, so I get a nice... Now we're going to have more drag because I just dropped the gears. And that's why you're hearing all that wind rushing noise. We just check and make sure they're down. And they are down and locked, so we should be good. And just watch our airspeed so it doesn't drop too much as we gently bank in over the California high desert. And I mean, look at this. Look at how beautiful this is as we come in. Nice and scenic. I suppose we could zoom into the factory settings, right? Our airspeed's dropping considerably, and there is the runway that we want. So let's definitely give it a little bit of throttle, a little bit more RPMs. Get us back to the blue line. Aha! Well, I'm going to mute the mic as I come in for a landing.
Fly Delta Echo Romeo Papa minus Yankee, please acknowledge. Derp Fly Delta Echo Romeo Papa minus Yankee, did you copy?
124.45 Derp Y Delta Echo Romeo Papa minus Yankee.
So there we are, everybody, on the ground. Just a little bit of silence to get that landing in. Kind of noticing that when I focus on my task, I'm doing a little better. Try and keep her straight as we just taxi down the runway. And you can see all the scenery. This is what I was talking about. Out in Victorville at SoCal Logistics. This is like a fast taxi. This way at least we'll get to parking faster. I suppose we could get off the runway. Just in case there's anybody who's taking off out of here or trying to land, that way we're off the runway. And being considerate of our fellow sim pilots, because we are in live player mode. Even if I have the name tags turned off. And I'm actually fairly impressed, although I don't have the frame counter up. I'm really seeing a nice smooth, and the windsock is not glitchy. I'm really seeing a nice smooth kind of frame rate here. I mean, occasionally you're gonna get the pause or the skip, even with some of the best video cards. And this is why we couldn't land on runway 3, by the way. So sometimes the factory air traffic controller just seems to assign you it almost seems to assign you whatever runway you're in line with, like the closest one to you. Not necessarily the upwind or the downwind, but just, you know, whatever's closest. We really don't need our landing lights as we taxi in here. And, you know, I know I zoomed out. I'm just doing it to show you the scenery. And yes, there's a C-17. That's my doing. That's not in the scenery. Maybe they're collecting old parts of F-104s that are embedded in the California desert and got shipped out here. Who knows? Alrighty, so I am going to... I guess I'm just going to pull up over here today. Looks like the C-17 might be backing out. And I really don't want to disturb that. So we'll just kind of park our Chancellor right there and set the brake. And that's it, everybody, for the most part. I'm just going to do a shutdown, because obviously we don't need our engines anymore, and we don't need our magnetos, so no one gets killed out there. And we can just skip on down here to the back and open the door. Open the door. Right. We don't need a light. We really have to turn off those landing lights. So pull the door handle, open and close the bottom, and the stairs will come out, and that's pretty cool. And then go all the way back to the front of the plane, and real quick, bring our, well, we turn the avionics off, but bring our landing lights back in. Well, they're off, but let's bring them in all the way back. And see, look at that, and the animation brings them back on in. Isn't that cool? Right. And what else do you want to do, Pony? Well, what I'd like to do is bring the tablet up. Ooh, tablet, where art thou? Because the tablet has the chocks and everything else. I'm seeing the hand, but I'm not. Armrest, master bar. Well, that doesn't look good. There we go. The flight tablet. Turn it on. And I want chocks. I don't want engine plugs yet. And let's give it a GPU. Why not? And how about left wing locker? Open. Cool. And so since we have the GPU on, we shouldn't need any kind of battery switches. And there we go. There's our GPU out there. And we can give our luggage to our passengers. Right, and that is it. And here we are at SoCal Logistics in the Cessna Chancellor, the 414 Chancellor. Yeah. So everybody, again, I want to say thank you for watching Derp Your Hooves, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the skies.